So good morning, everyone. I, Samresh Palroy, the coordinator of this event. On behalf of School of Pharmacy, P Savani University, it's my great privilege to welcome you all once again to Day 5, the final day of this national level online development program for faculties on optimizing pharmaceutical innovation, the ethical uses of AI for research writing, publication, and patent. So now today I am going to delighted to introduce our today's guest, Dr. Sowmiya Rani. So she is a distinguished expert in scientific writing, publishing, and the innovative application of AI tools in research. So Dr. Rani holds a PhD in biotechnology and has been a sought after editor, speaker, and trainer for over 6 years. Her contribution have earned her recognition as one of the top LinkedIn creators on AI tools for research, a testament to her profound impact in this field. So Dr. Rani expertise has reached audience at more than 100 prestigious institutions, including IIT Madras, IIT Hyderabad, NIT Warangal, NIT Delhi, VIT, Sharda University, Uzbekistan, Jayed University, UAE. She has also engaged diverse audience spanning medical engineering, social science, arts, law, management, and industry sectors. Her insightful lectures focus on leveraging AI for scientific publishing, enhancing teaching pedagogies, and advancing healthcare solutions. So notably, Dr. Rani, a flagship 10 days online workshop held biannually are highly anticipated by researchers worldwide. A recipient of prestigious fellowships such as CSIR, JRF, DBT, JRF, the JNC CSR, Summer Research Fellowship, and DAAD Scholarship, she completed a part of her PhD in Germany. Dr. Rani, a prolific editor for over 1,500 scientific documents refined under her guidance, and the founder of the startup SOMIS which empowers researcher by providing service such as proofreading, rewriting, and formatting for better manuscript quality. So today we are honored to have Dr. Sowmiya Rani for her invaluable insights on harnessing AI ethically for scientific writing, publishing, and improving teaching pedagogies. So with this introduction, I like to invite ma'am. The floor is yours.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Samarish, and to PPSU, of course, and the team behind for having me here today. So let me start by sharing my screen. So a very good morning to the participants as well. It's a pleasure to see you all here on the final day of this workshop. Happens to be a Friday. We are all enthused about the weekend ahead, I believe. So let's go ahead and start with something light, right? So how many of you here recognize the face that you see on your screens? Normally, if this were an offline session, I would ask the participants to raise their hands if they can recognize him. And for those of you who do not, this happens to be the face of Doctor Strange of the famed Marvel series, and he is also the Sherlock Holmes in one of the best adapted versions of the novel. So this actor, a brilliant actor at that, Benedict Cumberbatch, also went on to do yet another amazing project called The Imitation Game. So this is a movie which is set in the World War times, precisely World War II. This was a time when the Nazis, the Germans, they had an upper hand. They were clearly winning the war. Today, you and I have the privilege of having our personal WhatsApp messages encrypted end to end. But back in those days, encryption was a privilege that was reserved only for military communications. And when a country had good encryption, it meant that their messages could not be intercepted, could not be read by the enemy lines, and they were pretty strong and safe. That is what happened with the Germans. They had a very good encryption machine called Enigma, and this emboldened the Nazis to carry on their strikes, and the Allies could not break this code. It is at this point in time that an amazing English mathematician by the name of Alan Turing walks into the war scene. He and his team go on to break the code of Enigma. And this movie, The Imitation Game, is all about Alan Turing and how he broke the code and also his personal life as well. Today, we are here to be talking about AI and its applications in research and in improving teaching pedagogies. So why on earth are we opening the session about my favorite actor and movies and world wars? It is simply to drive home the fact that this amazing mathematician, Alan Turing, is also considered as one of the founding fathers of artificial intelligence, which means he, during the World War times, somewhere in the 1940s and 50s, was already working on artificial intelligence. The terminology and technology of artificial intelligence has existed for at least 6 decades. Just that you and I, the common man as it is, we were not talking about artificial intelligence in our everyday conversation. This belonged to the nerds, it belonged to the glass houses of computer geniuses and so on. But all of that changed 2 years ago thanks to this phenomenon called ChatGPT. So the company OpenAI unleashes ChatGPT onto the world in November 2022. And ever since, we have not stopped talking about ChatGPT, OpenAI, and AI in general. So why are we all so hooked to this new technology? So at the interface, what we see is basically a chatbot. And we are not new to chatbots. I'm sure no matter which part of the country you're from, you have experience with ordering food from aggregators like Swiggy, Zomato, for instance, or you have had your share of talking with customer care executives at Amazon, Flipkart, and whatnot. So in all of these service aggregators, when you have a grievance, you don't talk to a human. You basically talk to a chatbot. So chatbots have existed even before ChatGPT. But why is this ChatGPT chatbot so special? Because unlike the other chatbots that we have known until then, which can only respond to us in very limited ways, ChatGPT could pretty much answer any question you asked as long as the information was available on the internet. This versatility, intelligence, and human-like conversations is what added popularity to ChatGPT. So what was our world like before ChatGPT came into the scene? We simply asked all our questions to Google. Today, I'm not talking about the Google that we have today, which is supercharged with AI, but go back, reimagine the Google we had 2 years back. So that was a simple search engine back then. You ask a question, the tool finds the relevant resources, brings it back to you, and you are the one who has to sift through all of these resources and find your answers. That is why when ChatGPT walked into the room, we all shifted our loyalties. Someone has to mute yourself.
Audience, kindly please mute. Just 1 second. I'm going to mute all.
Okay.
It's fine. Now please continue, ma'am.
I thought I'm also muted. Great. So where were we? Right. So why were we also hooked to ChatGPT is because we are super lazy beings at our core. All of us have this lazy teenager sleeping somewhere within us. And when we asked a question to Google, the old Google, it gave you resources. You had to do the work. But when you ask the same question to ChatGPT, it did all the work for you, brought back very ready-made answers. And this also happened in multiple languages. Even when it started out, ChatGPT had at least 5 different Indian languages on its repertoire. And that is what added to the charm of ChatGPT. And we were all so based by these AI tools that right within the first year of ChatGPT being introduced, among just the top 50 AI tools, they garnered 24 billion visits. So we as a collective, we have visited these just top 50 tools 24 billion times. Of course, ChatGPT was the leading site with 14.6 billion hits, but that does not mean AI starts and ends with ChatGPT. There are just so many other varied tools that can do the job much better than ChatGPT. We just have to discover them, test them, and start using them. So if you want to master these Gen AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Microsoft Copilot, and so on, you will have to master something called the prompts. So prompts are basically the instructions that you give to these tools, and only when you have clearly structured prompts will you get very good results. The results are directly proportional to how good your prompts are. And for you to create a good prompt, it should have at least these 5 basic components. And the most important among them is setting the context. So what do I mean by setting the context? context. Say, for example, I, as a general reader, I'm trying to understand what is photosynthesis. So I just go into ChatGPT and I ask, what is photosynthesis? ChatGPT will give me a nice answer with all this equation of 6CO2, 6H2O, and all of that. But imagine I'm a school teacher. I want to teach photosynthesis to my grade 6 students. Now, this answer is not relevant to me because my students will not understand this equation. They do not know what CO2 is, what H2O is. So why did ChatGPT give me an answer that I cannot use? Because I did not tell ChatGPT that I'm a grade 6 teacher and I'm trying to teach grade 6 students about photosynthesis. Therefore, I would need content which they can relate to, analogies that they can understand, activities and homework that will offer them an experiential learning experience. Similarly, what if I were a researcher and say I'm working on a topic called intermittent fasting? So this is a lifestyle change where you fast for 16 hours in a day and you only eat in 8-hour window every single day. And this is supposed to give you a lot of health benefits. So say I'm a researcher on intermittent fasting. I'm trying to write a literature review on intermittent fasting. And in that case, unless I tell ChatGPT that, okay, I'm a researcher, I want to write a literature review, I want the information to come only from journal articles. That too, I want the information only from Q1 and Q2 journals, only from the past 5 years, and so many other filters. Only when I communicate all of this context, all of these limiting factors, will ChatGPT be able to give me a good literature review, even if it is just a few paragraphs, 1,500 words long, with citations and with accurate references. This is possible with ChatGPT if you design your prompts appropriately. So focus on your prompts rather than on the tools, because good prompts can make average tools do the best jobs that you're looking for them to do. And never stop with one prompt. It is no longer sufficient. You have to give a prompt, see the result, and then readjust your prompt to make sure that the output is better. So now we are in an era of sequential prompting or cascading prompting. You prompt, get the result, keep prompting back and forth until you're satisfied with the end results that you get out of these general purpose Gen AI like ChatGPT, Claude, etc. So at the interface, what we see as a user is a chatbot. But how do these work at the backend? They are something called LLM. So LLMs have become a very household name. We don't need an exact definition. But at the very basic sense, LLMs are AI that go process existing information and bring it back to us in very specific ways. These models, they do not understand content. They don't understand your text or your images. They are basically just probability models, which can do a very good job of taking an intelligent guess as to what the next 2 words or next 3 words could be. And they just take probabilistic ways to bring in the content to you. This is a limitation when we are thinking of using AI for something as critical as research. This means these AI tools are not truly creative. They cannot create something out of nothing. Therefore, the likelihood of them coming up with a very novel research question is pretty less, unless they are hallucinating and throwing all kinds of wrong answers at you. And if you are smart enough, you can pick out one of the right sounding wrong answers and then start working at it. But they themselves cannot arrive at these very logical, nicely done research questions, research gaps or so, unless you have designed a prompt. Even with prompting, there are limitations. So now, if I were to set this as an activity in an offline class, normally I ask the participants to draw all of these components that they see on the screen. I give them 1 minute. And when the time is done, I ask these participants to show their drawing to their neighbor first, and then to put up the drawing on top of their heads and show it to me. And today we are on a virtual class. This is not always possible, but I'm sure if I did this activity with you, at least some of your drawings are going to look like this. When I ask you to draw a house, it's mostly a square or a rectangle topped by a triangle at the least. And mountains are always two peaks. So how many of you have been to a hill station where you see only two peaks? The more important question, how many of you actually live in a house that looks like that, or live in a house that you drew when I would ask you to draw a house? Or how many of you have actually sat and watched the sunset to know that the sun rays, when the sun sets, does not streak out on the upward direction, but rather it slants towards the downward direction. But we all, irrespective of where we come from, we still keep drawing the same pictures because this is what we were taught. And this is called learned bias. And when an AI is taught such things, it does not understand bias because an AI has not exactly gone into the world and seen how it looks. So everything an AI knows and works with is the data that you provide. When the original data is biased, the output is also biased. A good example is this set of images. So these images were created by an AI called Midjourney, I believe, where all the user had to do was just give a very simple prompt, draw a typical prisoner, or what does a cleaner look like, and so on. And the tool went on to create a complete image in less than 1 or 2 minutes. When we saw these images for the first time 2 years ago, we were all amazed. Wow, this makes our life pretty easier. Even today, this is amazing. Tools that can convert textual prompts into images are great. But let's take a pause, take a breath, and look at these images once again. What do you see? Let us assume we are all sitting somewhere in the US. Even then, do you think all prisoners look like that? Or to rephrase my question, are all prisoners or are most prisoners Black in the US? How many of you would be treated by a nurse who looks like that? The more important question, why should a nurse look like that and why should a cleaner look something completely different? The user did not introduce this bias. All the user asked was a picture of a nurse and a picture of a cleaner, but this AI has learned from all the images, the advertisements, everything that we have created before to come to a conclusion that, okay, so these are the features that are expected for these particular professionals. So this bias exists across AI, even the AI tools that I'm about to introduce. And one of the very clean biases you will notice when you're trying to use AI to find literature or to find answers to your research questions is that AI is biased towards open access literature because it has access to it. Several of the AI tools, they don't have access to the full text of subscription-based papers, which means they might not have the full picture to start off with. And this could result in a bias in the answers that you get out of them. So be very wary of these limitations also. Today, AI is everywhere. Every single industry has AI. But the problem is the technology is pretty fast. It is like we are running a race with Usain Bolt as poor common people. Even athletes could not compete with him. So the technology of AI is running at such a fast pace, but the ethical considerations, the legal implications, all the regulations around this, even the concerns around the impact on environment, impact on creativity, human knowledge, all of this has taken such a backseat because we have focused so much on improving the technology and so little on understanding the other implications of technology. Unless we can bridge the gap between these two sectors of the technology, we are still lagging behind in fully utilizing what AI has to offer. So before we venture into the core of the session where we'll explore a handful of AI tools, for each part of your manuscript writing and publishing process, it is important to understand that this entire landscape of AI is complex. It has several layers to it, and it is evolving every single day. And we humans do not understand all parts of this evolution. Therefore, it needs a lot of caution alongside the excitement that we have for these tools right now. So on that note, and to add to the beautiful introduction from Dr. Samaresh, I'm Dr. Sowmiya, and I enjoy doing three things with my life, at least right now. The first is that of being a parent to an almost 11-year-old and all the stray dogs, cats, birds, tadpoles, butterflies she has brought along. The second role is that of an editor with this very prominent company called Editage, which is 20 plus years old right now. The third role is that of an entrepreneur where I have my own startup called Sowmiya, which focuses on empowering academics and faculty researchers to write and publish their manuscripts better. So we don't write your manuscripts. We don't have tie-ups with journals. We cannot give you 100% assurance that your manuscripts will get published. But what we can do is we can stand on your side and train you through webinars, just like the one we are having at the moment, long form workshops. So I'm finishing today's session and packing my bags to be at a pharmaceutical college in Vijayawada, where I'll have a full day workshop tomorrow. And we also have online workshops that run for 10 days, where we thoroughly explore every single aspect of research writing and publishing, along with introducing hands-on experiences into some of the key, most popular and most efficient AI tools that can make your entire processes easier. So to augment these training sessions, we have a small team of editors who sit with you, who handhold you right from selecting the right journal to proofreading your manuscripts, rewriting, restructuring them, helping you respond appropriately to reviewer comments, helping you prepare the appropriate cover letters, formatting your manuscripts. So it's pretty much everything other than doing your research and writing your manuscripts that still has to come from you. And since we come from a country where English is not our first language, that is where our researchers struggle. They can do research, they can write great drafts. But for these drafts to be good enough to get through journals, language also counts to a certain extent. Structure counts, coherence counts. There are too many factors. That is where our team of editors come in to help you bridge that gap. So that's what I do pretty much day in and day out. And anything and everything I say through the session comes from my experience of having sat with thousands of clients as an editor to discuss and understand their difficulties in writing and publishing, but then also have worked with more than 1,000 faculties and researchers as a speaker talking about the use of AI tools in research writing and publishing. So when we look at the life of a faculty researcher, majority of their time is spent around reading content, processing this content in different ways, and then presenting it either in a classroom or in a as a proposal presentation or in a conference and so on, or even just simply submitting a journal article. What if I can give you AI tools that can make this part of your life slightly easier, slightly less time consuming, so that you have more time to take care of the rest of your life, both professional as well as personal? This thought is the underlying current for the rest of the presentation. I know that this data is slightly old, but I'm sure the numbers are still true, at least with the small sample size of people I have spoken to in the recent past. So one of the first places where AI can help you make your research writing and publishing more efficient is in literature search and review. So we all started our internet searches with Google, and then we migrated to Google Scholar. Google Scholar still does a good job. It is the most comprehensive database out there where you can find literature. But the problem is Google Scholar is heavily focused on keyword-based search, which means every single keyword is treated equally, and interactions between these keywords is not taken into account. That is the reason why you end up with tens of thousands of results, most of which are not even relevant to what you're looking for. So a quick switch you can make is to move or augment your regular Google Scholar search with an AI-powered semantics-based search. So what is semantics? It looks beyond the keywords, looks at interconnections between keywords, the frequency with which they repeat, where are they placed, and so on. So, okay, it's all nice to know the technology. How does it benefit me? Ask the same keywords to Google and Semantic Scholar. Google Scholar gives you 10,000 results, most of which are irrelevant. Semantic Scholar gives you, say, around 600 results, majority of which are super relevant to the keywords that you have used. And this cuts down the time you spend on figuring out which literature is important by several folds. One problem in the way we look at literature is that when we think literature, we think of individual papers. We don't look at them as one unified story, because that is what literature is. So you walked into the field, you saw that there was a story running, and there was an important puzzle piece that was missing. And you know that if you can find this missing piece, then this puzzle will make more sense and it will open up to new questions which new researchers can fix it. So when we can think, or when we can view research as that, then everything improves. So when you understand that research is one continuum of a story, then the way you approach literature search changes. The way you synthesize your literature and write about literature, especially in your introduction section and discussion section, also changes. So how are these small stories connected to one unified story? One of the simplest connections that exists between literature is in the form of references and citations. Say, for instance, I'm reading a paper published in 2017. By default, it is linked to all the other papers that it has cited, has added into its reference list. And now we are in 2024, that's like 7 years down the lane, and say this paper has been now cited by another 20 papers. So 40 references plus one paper plus 20 references, say 61 papers. All of these papers are one closely knit consortium of the story that you are exactly trying to follow through. And how do we normally do the citation mining? How do we find these papers? You read a paper, look at the reference, Google Scholar the reference, find the paper, read the title, read the abstract, maybe a bit of the results and discussion, and then you decide, okay, I'll save this paper for reading later, analyzing it later. That is all there is to finding the right literature. And this is a very simple process. It has a set of rules, does not involve any creativity. Anytime a process is this straightforward, an AI can do a much better job than you can. And that is why you should be augmenting your literature searches with AI-based literature mapping tools like LitMaps. Here again, you can start with something as basic as a keyword or with a paper or a handful of papers. Now, how is Google Scholar, Semantic Scholar, and LitMaps different? So Google Scholar and Semantic Scholar, they follow a top-down approach. They first gather a lot many papers, and then you have to manually sit and filter out the papers to filter out just the top 50, 60 papers, the most relevant papers that you are looking for. Whereas these literature mapping tools like LitMaps, Connected Papers, Research Rabbit, Insightful, etc., these tools, they work on a bottom-up approach. They start with a handful of very relevant papers, and at every stage, they add, say, 10, 20 papers. But at each stage, the filtering happens, which means you never encounter thousands of papers, but rather you can very targetedly get those 50, 60 papers that you are looking for without wasting much of your time. So when I start this search with one paper, say I started my search with this paper called Lange 2023, within a minute, Litmaps can build me this basic seed map, which has around 20 papers. And these 20 papers are all linked to my paper of choice, but then they also have a lot of interconnections amongst themselves. These circles represent the paper, and the joining lines, they represent the citation links between two or more of the papers. Okay, it's all nice to know that these papers are linked to my paper of choice. I don't want to trust the AI blindly. I want to see what this paper is all about, and I want to make the choice if I want to save this paper or not. You can do that. Click on the paper that you would like to know more about. In fact, you should be doing this for every single paper. And right within the interface of LitMaps, you can read the title, abstract. You can also classify the papers, organize it. You can save the papers to LitMaps library also, and anytime you want to move it to your reference manager, you can download the BibTeX information or RIS file and move it to your reference managers. One other way in which you could find literature is by using AI tools like Sourcely. So how are these tools different? Or when will I use Sourcely? I will use Sourcely when I'm just reading a paper and I find that one of the paragraphs look very relevant to what I'm trying to do, or they look very interesting to me, and I want to quickly find papers related to this paragraph. And that is not always possible with Google Scholar or Semantic Scholar. You cannot just copy and paste an entire paragraph into the search engines, but you can do that with Sourcely. Copy your entire paragraph, put it into Sourcely. Sourcely will figure out the keywords. It will do the semantic search. It will finish all of that. You can even apply some basic filters, and Sourcely will bring you a list of papers that are closely related to the paragraph that you gave as the input. So another tangential use for Sourcely is when I have finished my paper, and now it always happens that there'll be few sentences on the introduction and discussion, beautifully written sentences, but without citations. Without citations, I cannot use those sentences. They are useless to me as if they did not exist. But with Sourcely, I don't have to go rake my brain to go figure out which of the 100 papers I have are the exact source of the sentence. Instead, I can just Pick those orphan sentences, throw it into Sourcely, and Sourcely will give me the citations. Or say I just want to write a thought, a very random thought that I have. Instead of writing on Word, I can write it into Sourcely, and then I can use this base idea to quickly collect related literature. So if you can get creative, there are so many ways in which you can use Sourcely in your literature search journey. The next few tools I'll be introducing, these tools are good alternatives to Google Scholar, but then they're also great academic alternatives to ChatGPT. So why do we need alternatives to ChatGPT? Because ChatGPT was not built for academia. When you ask a question, it will get answers from all over the place. Wikipedia also has information, but you cannot use Wikipedia information on your research article. Similarly, ChatGPT can give you accurate information most of the times, but that information is still not good enough for academia. It does not give you citations. It does not give you the sources. It does not generate a reference list unless you ask the tool. By default, this does not happen. In addition, it can go into hallucinations. It can give you inaccurate results with you having no way to recheck or cross-check if it is true. But when you move the searches, when you move your research questions from ChatGPT to academic tools like Consensus, these tools are built to find the answers from proper academic sources. You can also apply relevant filters like filter out the journals, filter out the years, and just by asking a very simple, straightforward question, you can get a detailed summary from multiple papers, at least 10 papers to begin with. You see every single sentence has a citation. And now just hover your mouse over this number and in a pop-up, you will have the title of the paper, which is a hyperlink. Click on the title, you can go to the journal page. If the full text is available, you can read that also, which means I don't have to blindly trust this tool. For every single sentence, I have the source right here. I can go back and verify if it is true or not. So now at this juncture, you should be asking me two questions. The first question is this summary plagiarized? Has the tool copied this information from somewhere else? The answer is no. Generally, because these tools, they were not designed to plagiarize, but because they are simple probability models, they don't understand language, they could have inadvertently introduced some minimal amount of plagiarism. So this content is not exactly plagiarized content. Okay, so if it is not plagiarized, the second question is, can I use the summary as it is on my manuscript or on my research proposal? My answer is yes, go ahead, use it if you're talking about the first draft, not on your final paper. Because though this summary is not plagiarized, remember this is still generated by an AI. And today, journals and conferences don't just check for plagiarism, they also check for AI content. And this summary could show up as AI generated content. And also, it is unethical to outsource major parts of your manuscript to an AI. So I would use this summary as my starting point to write my paper or a proposal, but I would slowly edit out the AI generated content and replace it with my own thoughts, my own versions as I go through the multiple editing rounds for the manuscript. A second tool where you can ask your research questions is Elicit. Similar to Consensus, it will give you a summary with citations with a reference list. But that is not why we are interested in Elicit. We are interested because on Elicit, you can do such nice data extractions across hundreds of papers. Say, for instance, I am new into a field. I am trying to find a novel research question which I can pursue in my project. How do I do it conventionally? I go into hundreds of papers. I try and find the research gaps. I try and find the limitations. I try and find the future directions in the conclusion section. And then I collate all of this information together and come up with one question that has not been answered already. The data extraction step can be easily outsourced to Elicit. When you ask a question, by default, Elicit creates these tabular columns with around 20 different, you can add up to 20 columns, even if you're on the pro version, and you can add all the key components you want to extract out of hundreds of papers. Now the data extractions become easy. You can download this entire tabular column as an Excel file. You can also download the bibliography information as an RAS file, and now you're all set with the extracted data and references all set together. You can process this extracted information to quickly arrive at your research question. reading scientific manuscripts is not easy. It can get daunting and downright boring on some days. And take this from someone who has to sit with very raw manuscripts day in and day out, who has to sit with clients in the very early stages of their grant proposals to help them figure out what is exactly inside their heads. So, why are scientific documents so difficult? The first reason is the language. The formal English that is used on the scientific manuscripts can get a bit daunting, boring, and difficult to follow sometimes. And the second reason is not all manuscripts give you the entire story. They assume that you're an expert when a manuscript is introduced to you. So if you don't understand some of the nuances, some of the base points, you cannot appreciate the manuscript. That is when having tools like SciSpace Copilot can come in handy. So instead of reading your manuscripts on a PDF reader, you can upload it to tools like SciSpace Copilot. And anytime you want more information, more explanations on a particular part of the manuscript, just highlight the section where you need help. You can ask SciSpace to give you a summary. You can also ask the tool to give explanations for this text, in which case the tool will explain every single terminology in the section. It will also give you a nice summarized version of the concept also. Or say you want to find papers related only to this section, not to the entire paper, that is possible. Have more questions, use the chat box. Or you want to do this with multiple documents, that is also possible with Copilot. And this works not just with text, it also works with your equations and tables, which means any equation you don't understand, you can ask SciSpace to give you an explanation and it will make sure that you understand the equation better. The way we consume information has evolved pretty fast over the past few years and past few decades even. We no longer are bothered to carry a hard copy of a book because at least I know at any given point I'll have at least three screens with me. I'll have my mobile, I'll have my tab, I'll have my laptop. So I have sufficient entertainment, sufficient reading material and watching material to take care of my traveling days. And even with reading, we are more interested in listening to podcasts. We listen to books as audiobooks, and we are very much interested in watching our Instagram reels. That is how we consume news and other information. But the way we consume scientific papers has not evolved in the past several years. So why should it still remain the same? Why can't we listen to our papers just like how we listen to the news or listen to a book? We cannot do that because papers are not published as podcasts or as readable material. But with the advent of AI, it's no longer necessary. You can just upload the PDF of your paper, or you can connect your emails to Speechify. You can upload any kind of document, and tools like Speechify and listening.io will read out these documents to you, which means now you get to multitask. You can listen to your papers as you drive. You can listen to your class notes as you're heading into your classroom while doing something else. This can also develop as a great tool for proofreading your own manuscripts, because after you have looked at your manuscript for 2 to 3 months, it's very difficult for you to catch errors in your own writing. In that case, why don't you just listen to these manuscripts so that you have an extra way in which you can vet your writing and your errors. So once we are done consuming manuscripts, then comes the stage where we will have to create summaries of individual papers and the overall overarching summaries. There again, AI tools like Scholarcy can do a good job to bring the information in very complex documents in very simple formats like simple flashcard summaries. And these flashcard summaries, you can download them as MS Word files, but you can also download them as PPT files, for instance. So you can come up with very creative ways in which you can upload one or more documents, summarize it, and quickly convert it into different documents depending on the purpose you are looking for. Even the way you take down notes, the way you incorporate your own thoughts into the manuscripts has undergone a change after the advent of AI. You no longer have to sit with a pen to paper to write or sit at your screens and type it out. Instead, you can just dictate your thoughts into a tool like AudioPen, speech notes, and for instance. And these tools will not just pick up the words, they'll also do a bit of cleanup, and they'll bring back the information in a very concise, very organized way. These are not simple transcription tools which just capture information, but these are AI-powered tools that can also clean up and organize the information for you and you can just download the file as a MS Word file and incorporate it into the document that you are writing. A good manuscript or a science communication material is not just about written content. It is also about having nice, good, catchy images. But this is one place where AI cannot help you much because journals do not accept AI generated images, not even within their graphical abstracts. Several publishers have come up with very clear guidelines asking you not to use AI for your in-text images or for your graphical abstracts unless it is a part of a larger process, larger analysis, then it's a different story. So, though we have so many different choices to pick from, several of them offering very good features, even on the free version, we are slightly crippled when we have to use AI for our imaging requirements. But on one end, we don't exactly need AI because we have very nice template based tools like BioRender, considering that today we are addressing the School of Pharmacy. So, medical sciences, life sciences, biological sciences, all those allied sciences, we do pretty good with just BioRender, even when we didn't have access to AI. So if you have not tried BioRender, you can try it out for free, though for you to actually use the images that come out of BioRender, you must be on the pro version to get the copyright. And if you're not looking for that kind of colorful illustrative images, but rather you're looking for simple flow charts, block diagrams, or simple mind graphs and so on, then you can look out tools like eDrawMaps, which have a traditional component to them, but also have an AI component where you can just describe the image the image or the flow chart you have in your mind, and that is converted into a comprehensive flow chart. One constant question I used to get, and I still get if I don't add this slide, is can AI help us with our statistical analysis, both quantitative research and qualitative research? Yes, it can. When it comes to quantitative research, the basic requirement is that you understand your data to a certain extent, you know what it all means, and also you should know where you are headed. What is your goal in trying to analyze this data? Once you have the basic framework clarity, several of the business analytics tools like Tableau can develop as your research analytics tools. And recently, I keep hearing a lot of good things about Julius AI as a analytical AI tool, and you could definitely give it a try with the data that you have. And for those of you who are into qualitative research, who have large amounts of voice information in the form of interviews or focus group data, Insight 7 is the tool that you should go to. Or if you're a researcher who's more intensive on Google Form collected data, survey responses, and stuff, then Kindo is the tool which could help you glean insights from these massive amounts of pretty unorganized data, even sometimes. Next comes the elephant in the room of managing references. You don't exactly need an AI to help you tackle references if you start your research writing journey with a good reference manager like EndNote, Zero, or Menvi. If you did not, and if you end up having 200 references that need to be checked, converted from one style to the other, then this little AI called Tricks will come to your rescue. It will help you check if all the references are in a unified format. It will also help you quickly convert your references from one style to the other. The language in manuscripts and word count reductions are the Achilles heel even for very seasoned researchers. So Grammarly and Quillbot together, they do a pretty good job in helping you manage your language. But both of those tools did not venture out to be exclusively for academia. And even though Quillbot caters a lot to the academic circles, Quillbot has been stable. It has been stagnant for quite some time, is what I personally feel. Therefore, you should be trying out much more AI supercharged academia specific tools like PaperPal and Trink. So PaperPal is from Editage. That is the company that I work for as an editor. I don't work on the team that builds PaperPal, but I work with them to test out their new features, talk about it on their social media promotions, and so on. And similarly, I have also worked closely with teams from Litmaps and SciSpace also to testing out features. I have even briefly worked with the team behind Tricks. So that helps me understand these tools at close quarters and also to know their limitations. So PaperPal and Chinka are two tools you should definitely try out for taking care of the structure, taking care of your writing requirements, paraphrasing requirements, pretty much everything around writing and structuring your manuscripts. If some of you work in fields which are equation intensive, therefore you don't work with MS Word, but you work with LaTeX documents, then Writeful is the AI that will sit very comfortably within the LaTeX application overleaf and help you with tackling your language issues. And recently, PaperPal also introduced a plugin for overleaf. So now you have two good tools that were working amazingly well on MS Word, also cater to the LaTeX population, helping you keep your life simple. The toughest part of doing research, at least for me, about doing my PhD was actually writing the thesis. So doing research is much easier as compared to sitting down and compiling 5, 6 years of work into one unified document. Even though I had to do this every single year as a requirement of my CSAR fellowship, even then the final thesis preparation was not exactly a breeze, right? So we all did wish at that point that we had this magic wand, swish, swish, and the entire thesis was written. And with AI, that magic wand did come true in the form of this tool called Jenny. Today, we have so many tools which can write your entire literature reviews for you based on a very simple 10 to 15 word prompt, but Jenny was the pioneer. This is where it all started. So even today, you can just give a small prompt, describe your core idea of the literature review in 10 to 15 words, and Jenny will synthesize a very good literature review with citations, with references in a style of your choice. Of course, on the pro version, not on the free version. So most of the tools I talked about today, they are freemium tools which offer very limited features on the free version. But if you want to enjoy the complete set of features, you should have the pro version. The problem with creating information using Jenny or doing a literature synthesis with Jenny is that it's unethical to begin with. And the second limitation is that content that comes out of AI tools like Jenny, they get flagged as AI generated content when you put it through a content detector. So that is not how you can use these tools. So does it mean these tools are of no use to me? Not necessarily. These are great tools where you can brainstorm your ideas. You can throw in all your ideas and ask these tools to write your literature in multiple ways. This will quickly give you an idea of where the majority of the literature lies. Where do you get the most citations? What is the recent outlook on the topic? What do the recent papers say? Are there any counter arguments that I am missing? All of this can happen with writing tools like Jenny. Just don't copy paste the output into your own manuscripts and you're using these tools right. So writing manuscripts is not just ending with the writing part. You'll also have to get it published, for which you'll have to submit it to a journal. And before you do that, you'll have to check to see if your manuscript has all the necessary components, not just from abstract to conclusion. The title page has to be taken care of. Your references have to be taken care of. Cross-checking of references, citations, language in your manuscript. So many things have to be taken care of. Now you can outsource this check to the manuscript check option on PaperPal, which will check your manuscript for close to 40 different aspects, right from your title page metadata to your language accuracy. Because remember, PaperPal originally is an language editing tool. Therefore, it takes care of pretty much all of this. As in, it gives you a report which tells you where you have done good and which parts really require your attention. Based on the report, you can make corresponding changes to your manuscript, and now you have a more complete, well put together manuscript for the initial submission. No matter how much efforts you throw into submitting the best manuscript to a journal, you all have to go through the wretched or much feared peer review process. Not my words, that's how it is considered sometimes. So when you go through this feared peer review process, and if you're unfortunate enough to encounter the proverbial reviewer too, then they're going to just rip your manuscript up. What if I can help you hire that reviewer too, even before you submit your manuscript to the journal? So we first finish writing the manuscript, give it to the reviewer for a mock peer review, get the report, and redo the manuscript as per the critical comments to make sure our manuscript is more complete, make all the necessary changes, and then go for the journal submission. Now the journal editor is happy because you have done a pretty good job with the manuscript already. The actual peer review process also becomes simple because you have already gone through one very critical round, and the entire process of publication could become very, very smoother for you as an author. This is all great. Sounds like a fairy tale. But where do I go and hire this reviewer to? You can hire them on this AI tool called Paper Wizard. So on Paper Wizard, you can upload your draft manuscript and you get a very critical peer review report. Use that report to revise, refine your manuscripts, and then go for your journal submission. Okay, this is scary. How can I trust an AI tool and give my entire well-prepared manuscript? You just have to Google for Paper Wizard, scroll down and see the team behind building this tool. So this tool comes from some of the best academics across the top schools in the world. And the only Indian school that I came across on the team was IIT Bombay. So the tool can be reliable based on the association, but do your own research before you hand over your papers to any of these tools. Teaching today is not just teaching. You have to teach, you have to write grant proposals, get it funded, manage the project, write manuscripts, get it published, and then also make sure that your publications get good enough citations if you want to stay on top on your H index, I-10 index, and also contribute meaningfully to the NAC reports, NBA reports, your NIRF ranking reports, and so on. Yeah, and also PCI, right, for pharmaceutical colleges. So how do you do all of this? And all of this rests on how well you can write good grant proposals. Can I have some help from AI to do this? Yes, you have a lot many AI tools like Grant Boost, Grantable, and so on, which can help you in different ways. So put together, these tools can take your idea and build it into a proposal. They can take your objectives, break it down into activities, help you prepare those PERT charts where you break down each year into 4 quarters and split the activities between those 4 quarters that can happen. They can also help you design very basic budgets for your project. But having said that, remember, you are throwing in a very novel idea. So if it were me, I wouldn't give my entire idea into an AI tool, considering that these tools are all still run privately and not a very academia-backed tools. Therefore, I would still take help from these tools, but I wouldn't give my entire idea. What if there's a data breach? What if my novel idea gets thrown at my competitor or put out somewhere on the internet? So I'm not going to give my entire idea. I would rather break down my idea into smaller activities, smaller requirements, and then deal with these individual requirements using such tools when it comes to grant writing. Making presentations is a quintessential part of academia. You cannot run away from it. PowerPoints are the boon and bane of academia, I would say. It's all good. They have served us well. But we've all gotten a bit boring with the same images, same transitions, same animations, and so on. And I know some of you or most of you have already moved to making your presentations on Canva, a great tool which has served us well for the past 10 years. And some of you might have also experienced tools like Prezi, which offer much more than PowerPoint does. But if you want to still supercharge your presentations using AI, then you should be checking out tools like Tiktopus, Gamma AI, Pop AI. So among these tools, you can just give a small prompt. Based on the prompt, they make your entire presentation, the complete deck with content and images. If you already have a document which has to be converted into a presentation, that can happen. If you have a set of documents which have to be compiled, summarized, and then made into a presentation, they get it done. You name it, the genie gets it done. And that's what makes these tools a bit more special. Yeah. So no matter how knowledgeable you are, how great of a researcher you are, at the end of the day, it all boils down to good communication. Not just written communication, but also spoken communication. Only when you're able to present your ideas very clearly to your audience can they appreciate it, will you be able to get not just that applause, but also the grant money that you are actually asking for. Here again, you have AI tools like Poised, which sit with you on calls and observe how you do your presentation. How is your body language? How is your pausing? How is your language? Are you repeating a word too many times? Are you giving too long pauses? Or are you being too fast, not pausing at all and tiring out your audience? So, all of this feedback you get in a very anonymous environment, as in it's just for your eyes. And this helps you improve yourself as a good presenter. This is also one of those tools you can introduce to your students, especially those who are sitting for their placement interviews, for instance, to help them hone their interview skills to get placed at better positions. So now that we have quickly gone through AI tools, at least 15 tools, if I am right, which can help you with your research writing and publishing, is it ethical for me to use any of these tools on my next writing project? The answer is yes and no. Yes, if you're trying to use them as your assistants. No, if you're looking at them to replace yourself as a writer, as a researcher, as a proofreader, then you're looking at AI in a way with the very wrong lens in the room, I would say. So, what do these publishers and journals have to say about the use of AI? Are they okay with the use of AI? It so happened that when ChatGPT was introduced, some authors thought it was a great idea to use ChatGPT to generate large amounts of text for a manuscript and then add ChatGPT as a co author. Because that is what we do. When someone contributes to our paper, we give them authorship. So they thought, okay, let ChatGPT write my paper, I'll give ChatGPT the authorship. This did not sit well with the publishers, and that led to very clear guidelines across different publishing companies telling you you cannot outsource such large parts of your manuscript to an AI. You can never add AI as a co-author. Don't set tasks that qualifies them to be a co-author. Don't add them as a co-author. But apart from that, when you use an AI to proofread your manuscript, structure it better, format it better, take care of the language. Basically, if you're trying to use AI to replace editors such as myself, publishers are okay with it. But if you're trying to replace yourself with AI, they are not okay with it. So anytime you use AI for more than proofreading basic language and structuring, make sure you add the appropriate declaration statement. You will find such statements in all your journal guidelines. And this statement is from Elsevier. So you have to assure that give the name of the tool, the reason why you used it, and also assure the reviewers, editors, and your readers that after using AI, a human did check the content, and the human authors take full responsibility for everything that went into the paper. So this declaration has become important, right? Now let's talk about AI content detectors. So the first question, are they accurate? Absolutely not. They have a pretty high false positive rates. So plagiarism checkers, they were not perfect. We were dealing with them, and now we will have to deal with these AI content detectors as well. So how do these content detectors figure out what was written by human and what was written by an AI? They really can't. There are no hard and fast rules because language is language, content is content, and there's not much difference between human written and AI written content. Just that AI written content sounds more perfect. The sentences are almost of equal length. They use some unnatural words like delve, nuance, which is not so unnatural because I'm a huge fan of both of these words. And now I have stopped using these words for fear that what I write will be presumed to have been written by an AI simply because I use these words. So it's a very thin line, and just by looking at a document, figuring it out could be very difficult, especially when we have very good writers, people who experiment with the English language. Then it's really difficult. Say, for instance, what happens when we throw an essay written by Shashi Tharoor into an AI content detector? It might scream bloody murder because he never uses the common words that common people use. He always has these uh, very pompous words that none of us have heard about before. So there's a very high possibility that that will get flagged as AI generated content. So how is that fact? So AI detection is not fair, especially to those who are very proficient in language and who are very creative with the way that they present their information and data. So never punish a student before vetting personally that they did use AI, and they're simply not one of those eccentric kids who like writing these big words and stuff. So I did a small experiment with one of the AI content detectors to see how the entire agenda works. So I generated a small paragraph using Jenny, and I put it through this content detector. It tells me my content was generated by AI. Okay, I agree because I did generate it using AI. But anytime you have such policing mechanisms, you'll always see that there are people who want to oppose this, who want to break this, and challenge the uh, balance out there. And those thugs of the AI world are called humanizers. So, humanizers are basically AI that take AI generated content and then rewrite it in such ways that it cannot be thought as AI written by yet another AI called the content detector. Very confusing times. But let's go and give that a try also. So I picked this humanizer called Stealth Writer. I took the same Jenny written content, put it through Stealth Writer. It rewrote my content, made it unnecessarily long, unnecessarily complex. But I'm okay. I take it back to the content detector, and surprise, surprise, now content detector thinks this was completely written by a human. I promise you, I did not add a full stop or a space to this content. This was entirely written and rewritten by two different AI tools. But now this AI thinks it was written by a human. So AI content detectors are problematic, uh, to say the least about them. So be a bit cautious when you want to use them. Being a faculty, first and foremost is about being good teachers. So, are there AI tools that can make our teaching responsibilities slightly lighter? Yes, there are. And one of the major places where you can use AI is in helping you create those draft lesson plans for your curriculum and so on. That is where you can check out EduAid, which offers almost 15 free trials for you, where you can create lesson plans based on your framework. So you can say, create a lesson plan based on the 5E framework. So you can prompt it, you can apply filters, you get lesson plans, and then you can break down these lesson plans into individual components, ask for activities, ask for exercises. You can run quizzes, you can create assessments, you can even evaluate your student assessments on EduAid for some basic language and other criteria before you actually go on to do your manual corrections. Maybe this might not work in the assessment sense for your final examination assessments, but it will work great for your formative assessments, which happen every week, every 15 days, and so on. So, an alternative to EduAid or one other addendum you can add is the Education Copilot, which again pretty much serves from lesson plans to up until your assessment stage. And then there are specific tools that can help you with your assessments. And one of the well-known tools is Gradescope by Turnitin. The catch here is it is not free. You cannot check it out for free. You will have to register yourself for a demo, and this works better if you're an institution or a department. So apart from this, you also have very simple tools like quizzes, for instance. We were using Kahoot during the COVID times, and then we migrated to quizzes. And today, quizzes is AI supercharged. You can just pretty much do so many different uh, things, and so many different types of assessments can be handled by quizzes at the moment. So if you have not tried it in the recent times, you should give it a check. So when it comes to using AI within the classrooms, I would say don't look at them as alternatives to teachers. Don't look at them as threats to the teaching fraternity that we have today. Maybe it might grow into a threat sometime later on, but at the moment, the sentiment is we want AI to be augmenting the teachers we have in the classrooms and not automate the process. And we still want our classrooms to be teacher led, but only assisted by AI. And when you approach AI with this dogma in mind, I think you are doing it all in the right direction and lessening your load in the process as well. Now comes the question of, should students be allowed to use AI? My personal take on this is they should be taught and encouraged to use AI, at least in some minimal ways that is possible. Because imagine 4 years down the lane, you have your student who's completely naked to AI because you blanket ban the use of AI in your institution, and then they have to go out into the world and compete with others who have very good knowledge exposure on it. Whom do you think will have a better chance at landing that job interview or doing a job efficiently, right? So for this reason, it is important that we do justice by our students by introducing AI, but after thoroughly educating them on the legal, ethical, and 10, 20 other implications that we have to talk about with them before we introduce AI. So start introducing AI in very safe spaces, and the evaluation metric should also change. The present evaluation metrics where we evaluate the product, where we evaluate the final essay or the output will no longer work with AI because it's very easy to get the product. What has to be evaluated is the process. So don't just look at the product. Make sure that you have a possibility where you ask the students to explain the process. So the student who has been smart enough to pick the right tool for the right purpose or to combine multiple tools to streamline a process is the one who should be getting the highest grades, and not just a student who could come up with a product without employing much thought into it. So this will take a paradigm shift in the way we have been evaluating students. It is not going to happen overnight, but I'm sure we'll slowly ease into it and we'll get there in the next few months or years or so. So once upon a time, fire belonged only to the gods. And this young god called Prometheus, he was very fond of humans, and he thought, okay, if I give fire to humans, maybe they'll have a slightly better life. They can save themselves from animals. They can go hunt in the dark and so on. So he thinks, let me bring fire to the humans. And for this, he was punished for eternity, or so says the Greek mythology. I'm not sure how true this is, but I'm pretty sure that when fire was discovered for the first time, not all humans were thrilled. Some humans could see the potential of fire because without fire, we wouldn't have had the industrial revolution or any of the products, the life that we know as on today. But most of the humans could only see the destructive potential of fire, how it could just destroy everything that they knew. Today, we have a new fire amongst us, and that fire is called artificial intelligence. It has its cons, it has a lot of cons, but that should not blind us from seeing the positive aspects that AI can bring into our lives, especially considering that AI is here to stay. It is not a fancy word. We thought AI will walk in, take us by a storm, and then it'll leave in the next few months or so. It's been 2 years. There is no turning back. We are still having the same communications or same questions and same discussions that we had 2 years ago, and we still don't have a solution. Unless we full-heartedly jump into this, knowing that this monster, good or bad, is here to stay and we have to tackle it, only then we will be able to come up with the right regulations. So I would like to leave you all with this thought here. The problem is not the technology of AI. The problem is how we approach AI. We should be outsourcing these redundant, boring, non-creative, non-skillful tasks to AI so that we can improve the human race with better critical thinking tasks and more interesting tasks, and not the other way around. So once we get this right, we are going to get the rest of it right as well. And if you like this session, there's a probability that you will also like our upcoming 10-day workshop that will run from January 6 to 17. It will be completely online, late in the evenings. It will be starting somewhere around, it's from 8:30 to 10 this time. Therefore, you can complete your professional duties, domestic duties, and then catch us on the session. And every day, right after the session, we'll upload the recordings, which will be accessible for 3 months, which means even if you miss 1 or 2 sessions, you can catch up during the day and join back on the subsequent sessions. So if you're interested, you can always drop me a message and I'll share the full brochure with the complete details. So this is where you can reach me after the session. The QR code will take you to my LinkedIn page where I keep updating about the latest AI tools as and when they come. I also talk about the new features that come up on existing tools so that you can always stay up to date with what is happening in the AI world, both in research as well as in the teaching pedagogy sector. I'm not good with calls, but I'm great with WhatsApp. So if you have any question, or if you want to repeat the session for your departments, want to recommend it, if someone has to reach me, then you can just drop a WhatsApp message. I'll get back at the end of the day positively. And if you're looking for manuscript editing services, some kind of publication related supports, you can mail us at this mail ID. Even if I'm not around, someone from the team will pick it up. And this QR code here, I'll also share the links for my LinkedIn page and the feedback form. So this QR code here will take you to a feedback form where I would like to personally hear your comments about the session. But then also I would like to understand where else are you facing challenges. So I know that when I talk about teaching pedagogies, lesson plans is one of the top places where faculty feel they need help. And when I talk about research writing, two places. One is in finding literature systematically, and one is in proofreading and tackling the problem of plagiarism. So these are two places where I have seen a lot of interest when it comes to the requirement of AI tools. Similarly, so where do you think AI tools can make your life easier? And as a thank you note for your time to fill in the feedback form, I will send you a PDF list of all the tools we discussed today and also some additional tools. So that will help you have a ready-made list which you can refer back even after the session. But that happens only when you submit the feedback form. So make sure you submit it and give me 2 minutes to share these links with you on the chat box. And then I'll be ready to take questions if there are any. So first I'll take the questions on the chat box, and then we'll open up the session for you to unmute and ask your questions. But before that, I just need a minute to get this done.
It's an excellent session, ma'am. I can see there are various messages in the group chat
Yeah,
box.
I'm
Excellent
just going
session.
in there.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay, so now you on the chat box, you'll have the link to my LinkedIn page. You'll also have link to the feedback form. Make sure to submit the form to get the PDFs. Okay, so now I'm going to start by answering questions in the chat box. So I see a lot of good morning. Yeah, Dr. Neha, I'm glad you recognized him. Ben happens to be my favorite person in the acting scenario, at least. Yeah, okay. Okay, so Dr. Sudhar, don't worry. I'll add all those AI tools on the PDF list. So you will have those 6 or 7 tools that will include Crayon, Adobe Firefly, and so on. They are imaging tools. So Dr. Madhavi, I am not really aware of any courses where you can have hands-on specifically on these tools, but the 10-day workshop, we'll be dealing with most of these tools in a hands-on manner. We'll have demos. Because some tools will give you a demo when it's the pro version. The free version of the tools, we'll have hands-on sessions. So you can reach out to us for more details on the 10-day workshop. Yeah. And yes, once you use them in a very learning, educative manner, then you're more comfortable using these tools. You can, of course, learn them on your own. They have a very slight learning curve. But if you feel that you learn better in a structured way, then the 10-day workshop is all for you. And yeah, Dr. Pavani, I think we'll not be able to do it right now, but and yeah, preparing a graphical abstract is again so much beyond the scope. And reference management, I can suggest that you should start by using Zotero. If you have access to EndNote through your institution, then stick to EndNote, because then you get to share your resources with your entire institutional community. But if you don't have access to EndNote as an institution, and if you're thinking between Mendeley and Zotero, and if you're new to this entire process of reference management, you could start with Zotero. But if you have a large collaborative group, or if you're a part of a larger group, then most probably they are using Mendeley. So you should check with them and then start using one of those tools accordingly. Dr. Priyanka, yes, AI written text will be detected as AI generated content when we use content detectors. That's why you cannot use tools like Jenny to simply write, copy paste the content into your manuscript, but rather use them to brainstorm, create frameworks, create these very basic templates, and based on that, use that as a suggestion, use that as a crutch to actually design and write your papers. That is the right way to approach and use the AI tools that we talked about. So, Dr. Sheetal, I think the organizers will be sharing the recordings. And yeah, so Dr. Suresh, glad you enjoyed the session. So Dr. Harish wants to know, yes. So tools like SciSpace Copilot, for instance, Dr. Harish, if you were there on the earlier part of the session, I showed you a tool called SciSpace Copilot, right? So that can help you simplify any paper you want. So you can just throw in a journal article into SciSpace Copilot and just select the section where you feel you need more help. And the section will not just be simplified, it will be summarized. Definitions will be expanded where required, helping you understand a paper in a much better way. So is AI totally based on software program? I don't understand that question, but yes, AI is most of these AI they run on LLM models. So the image makers we are talking about, almost all of them, they do run on the LLM model. So they are basically large language models which do not understand content, but they are good at probability, finding out what is the next highest probable component, be it a word, be it a pixel, and then they kind of rearrange it. Thank you, Dr. Priyanka. Glad to know that we are connected on LinkedIn for the past 2 years. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to meet the LinkedIn community on a session like this. So if some of you are more comfortable in unmuting yourself, I'm not sure if you are
Yes, yes.
allowed to do that.
They can unmute.
Yeah. So
Participant, if you want to ask some, participant can unmute and you can ask your question if you have any.
Yeah. So the question from DST, no, you cannot use AI generated image in your graphical abstract because several journals, they have very clear guidelines asking you not to use AI generated images in your graphical abstract. So one way to overcome this is don't just rely on AI tools. Look at tools like Mind the Graph or look at tools like BioRender, for instance. They are not AI, but they still give you great options where you can arrange these different components and create your graphical abstracts. So I think that's the way to go as well.
Yes, ma'am. Another one question is there. Like, if we consider the copyrighted image is there, like test tube or something. So, if we generate the test tube image from the AI and use that image for our graphical abstract, I am not saying that to completely change the whole image. I'm
Yeah.
just using the component of the particular image.
What I would suggest is two things. First, check your journal guidelines. See if that is allowed. If there is a very specific, explicit guideline telling you don't use AI for graphical abstracts, don't use it. But the second way to do this or approach this is if you do use AI to generate these smaller components of an image and then rearrange them, declare their use in the declaration statement or just below the image. You can say that such and such components were created using so and so AI, and then let it at the editor's discretion. So if they feel this is okay, if it is within their guidelines, they're going to let you use it. If not, they'll tell you you can always make changes during the revision. But always declare, because when you declare, it is a simple question of declaration. But when you don't declare and then they discover that some parts of the image were generated by an AI, then it becomes a breach of the journal guidelines and the requirements, and then it becomes complicated. So anytime you're not sure if AI can be used in this respect or not, use it, but declare it. Very clearly declare it, and you can let the decision to be taken by the editorial.
Yeah. Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, Dr. Abhijit.
Yeah. Very great session. We have got all the Samrin will surely be in touch with you for future sessions. I'd like to ask one question on terms of ethical use of this AI tools, you can say. Which kind of guidelines do you see in future that will become a part of guidelines that we at the universities should implement at even a IPR cell and ethical use of all these tools? which are the future guidelines you will see that should be a part of guidelines for the PG, PhD students?
So I feel that at least with because this is very confusing for all of us right now. We are not sure where exactly to draw the line. But I feel that explicit use of Gen AI to generate content should still be prohibited. There should be clear guidelines stating that you cannot just throw an assignment topic into AI, get the output, and incorporate that as your final output. That has to be still strictly regulated. But we could encourage students to explore using AI when it comes to finding the literature, for instance. So they don't have to still rely on Google Scholar completely. You could encourage them to use literature mapping tools. You could encourage students to summarize using AI tools, but after summarizing, they have to give you the entire process. They cannot just come to you with the summary. They have to tell you exactly how this entire process go, and you will have to kind of draw very clear lines as to where, as an institution, you're going to allow the use of AI, where you will not use AI. And then, if you at the next stage decide that you want to start educating students on AI, where are you going to start? One of the easiest places is, say, if you have 5 or 6 assignments or assessments in a semester, you could have one assessment to be exclusively done with AI. So for the 5 assessments, you cannot use AI. But for one of the assessments, you can use AI within the limitations, and the evaluation has to be changed. So we'll not evaluate you for the end product. We'll be evaluating you based on the process. So if you want to incorporate AI in simple terms, you should change your entire evaluation system. The evaluation system we have now is not conducive for the introduction of AI. If you introduce AI with the present regulations, it will be exploited by the students to not actually work, not develop their writing skills, but simply to gain marks. So I think this is a very nuanced topic. A lot of conversations has to happen. You should have a committee to start off with to frame these policies on AI use. Right now, I don't think across India, we don't have one unified set of guidelines, but the European Union definitely has a set of draft guidelines. And I think the European Union guidelines is what is now leading the conversation when it comes to using AI in higher education. So maybe you can refer to those guidelines and then think of how you want to incorporate them within classrooms, how you want to incorporate these regulations into your OBE structures, for instance. And you should also come up with guidelines when it comes to the pedagogy. So where are teachers allowed to use AI? Where do you not want them to use AI? So right now it is at the personal discretion of institutions. But as we come up with more nationalized regulations, then these conversations will evolve.
Definitely. Thank you, ma'am. I think so. Every institute must have such AI ambassador kind of faculty should get
Right.
developed, and he should then be a part of this committee. Thank you, ma'am, for this
Thank you,
enlightenment. Thank
Dr. Abhijit. Okay, so I'm going to take 1 or 2 questions which we left in the chat box. For poster preparations, you can use all of these imaging tools. So BioRender is great for poster, though it is not an AI tool. You can try eDraw Max. Canva in itself is a great tool for creating your posters, and now Canva has an AI feature. So it is called Magic Wand, Magic Tool. I forgot it. So it's called Canva Magic. So Canva has an AI incorporated into it. I feel Canva will do a good job for your poster preparation also. Okay, Dr. Hiral, you cannot get full text of journal articles directly with AI, but you can try using tools because Sci-Hub and LibGen are no longer valid. They don't work. You can try out tools like Paper Panda, Unpaywall. What else do we have? Open access button. Then you have communities like academia.edu where they share these full text within the community. So I think right now these are the options that we have as alternatives to Sci-Hub and LibGen. So you could try them out. Okay, so I think we have covered the graphical abstract part. So you need to submit manuscript in 3 months. Okay. Yeah, you can do that. So you can just run your text through Sourcely, for instance, and then apply the respective filter. Sourcely will give you the latest references. Or you can ask very simple questions to Consensus, and set filters to bring papers only from the last 2 or 3 years, and you will have your updated references. These are some ways you could do that. Okay. Authenticity of AI is still questionable because most of these AI tools, they are still in their beta testing version, which means they themselves don't claim that they are 100% accurate, right? So I would not yet switch my entire process to AI. I would still have my conventional frameworks, but I use AI to cut short time at different points of my framework. And anything that comes out of an AI, I will still verify it thoroughly before getting it into my journal articles, because it's better to do the check now rather than facing a retraction at a later point in time, because AI generated texts are looked down very much, and there have been several retractions in the past 2 years because of that. So please be very careful. Yeah. So I have shared the links. Just a moment. I don't know where they are. Okay, I'm just going to reshare the links for those of you who missed it. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Madhavi, I've reshared it for you. You can find it. So someone else who wants to unmute and ask a question, I'll be happy.
So any participant would like to ask some questions, please you can unmute. So meanwhile, ma'am, I like to ask you one question. So what is your favorite tool for writing the research paper?
Okay.
Top three.
Yeah, I'll give you top 5. So I'll just put it into the chat box also. So I think Litmaps and Litmaps is for building on your literature. And then I would use SciSpace for extracting information from multiple literature papers. For writing and proofreading, I think I'll use PaperPal. And for most of the basic imaging, I would use eDrawMax and say Canva. They pretty much take care of everything else. And when it comes to reference management, if in case you don't have a reference manager, I would use Trix. So these are not in any particular order. For mapping or building your literature, Litmaps. For data extraction, SciSpace. For writing, proofreading, it's PaperPal. For imaging, it's eDrawMax and Canva. And for reference management, it is Trix. And all of these, they offer very limited features on the free version. Most of the features are on the pro version. That's how it is. When the tool is good, they're not available for free, right? And with most of these tools, I might have discount codes that you can use if some of you are interested in getting the pro version. I'll not always have them, but on and off when I work with the teams, when I do have a discount code, if you write to me, I'll be very happy to share the discount code if it is available with me. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Prashant, I've just listed out it on the chat box also. These tools, they vary somewhere between 5,000 to 15,000, somewhere in the range. Yeah, Dr. Sudhar, I've given you the list in the chat box.
In chat box, it's not showing.
Okay. Okay. Wait. I did not write it to everyone. Somehow it is gone as a direct message. Just give me a minute. I'm resharing. Yeah. Now the entire group will be able to see the list. Now you can see it?
Yes. Now we can see.
Okay.
So any other questions from the audience? Please unmute and you can ask.
Yeah, Dr. Hiral, I think I answered that question already. You can check out tools like Paper Panda and Paywall. And some of these, I hope they are still working, but you can give them a try. And then tools like Elicit and SciSpace, they also have some amount of access to full text articles, though they'll not give you the PDF as it is, but they get their information from both open access articles and subscription based articles. But there's no clear disclosure as to how much or what percentage of paid articles they have access to, what journals they have access to. I'm also waiting, like you, to know which journals do they really have access to and what they don't have. Kritika, I wouldn't be sharing the presentation, but I'll share a list of the tools so that you can have a ready reference.
So another
For
question?
literature,
Yes.
okay. So answering Pradyum, for literature review, for writing the literature review, you will have to do it manually. But if you're trying to create some templates, you can try out SciSpace, you can try out PaperPal. There is something called answerthis.io. All of that can help you with framing your literature review. Even Jenny can help you with that. So to reduce plagiarism, I wouldn't use an AI tool, Dr. Sheetal. Though there are several paraphrasing tools, what I would do is I'll put the content through an AI, see how it paraphrases my content, and then based on the content, using that as a suggestion, I'll manually do the rewriting. Because if you directly allow an AI tool to rewrite, you don't have plagiarism problem. Now you have AI content problem. So never allow an AI tool to make direct changes onto your written document. That's my thumb rule when it comes to using any of these writing AI. Yeah. So glad you enjoyed it, Chanchal. And um, for statistical analysis, you don't exactly need AI most of the times because you have great conventional tools like SPSS, SAS, R-based, Python-based tools, which are reliable because they don't make any changes to your data. They just do the set analysis and give you clean results. But it is when you're handling large quantum of data or data which do not fit into these tools, then you can explore several of the business analytics tools like Tableau, for instance, Julius AI, for instance, to take care of your statistical analysis. Yeah. Yeah. So, Sudhar, I have listed the name of the tools under each category. So, for literature review, I've listed the tools for literature finding, then for writing, for summarizing. So, it's neatly categorized list. I'll share that. Okay. Yeah, so we did talk about humanizers, right, Dr. Ruksha? So that humanizers can convert AI written text into something that looks like human text, or rather something that does not get caught in these content detectors, but they're not 100% foolproof because they might fool these content detectors, but your content becomes very twisted, unnecessarily long and stuff. So that was more of a fun experiment and not a way to circumvent content detectors. So the best way to do that is to actually write and rewrite as a human. That is the way to circumvent these, right? Yeah, Dr. Sheetal, I'll be very happy to do the sessions for your institutions as well. I'm also resharing my contact details for those of you who want to reach me at a later point. Yeah, so there goes my number and my mail ID. So you can reach out to me at a later point in time. Okay. So any other questions, or are we ready to say our goodbyes?
Yes, so we can. Any one or two questions from the audience? You can unmute if you want to ask some questions to ma'am. Because by personally, I have taken 3 to 4 page note in my diary. So
Okay.
because there are ample of tools you have rightly mentioned, starting from how to design a prompt and also discuss about the semantic scholar, lit maps, source link, then elicit, size space, listen for listening paper, listening IO, then creating graphics, biorender, Hydromax, statistical analysis, WAI, Insight 7, Kindo. There are many more. The list is ever ending. So thank you, ma'am. If I am not getting any question from the audience. So lastly,
Samaresh
if
sir,
it, yes, yes, please, ma'am.
may I?
Yes, yes, please, ma'am. You can ask.
Samya ma'am.
Yeah,
No
Dr.
questions, but I just wanted to thank you for a wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's so much, yes, so much stuck into core academics with the UG fundamentals or PG fundamentals. Trying to gear up with the latest things happening, no, it becomes difficult. So such FDPs helps, and I should thank the University School of Pharmacy for conducting this. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed this session.
Yes, any other feedback or questions from audience? You can unmute quickly. No questions from the audience. So just one segment. So if there is no question, then thank you, Dr. Sowmiya Rani ma'am, for delivering such a wonderful and engaging session. So I think all the audience has received a lots of idea and the tools information how they can use it for the writing of research paper and to also for pedagogy purpose. I believe this is one of the what is called excellent session till date. Anyway, so now we are going to now we move on to the certificate presentation. So just hold on a second. Yeah. So, ma'am, on behalf of PP Savani University School of Pharmacy, I uh, request you to accept this certificate, token of gratitude for this invaluable contribution.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your support. Now, I like to ask all the audience, can you please turn on your camera so we can take one pic with ma'am. We can take one snapshot with all the audience. Please turn on your camera. Yes. One second. Just I'm taking some photographs. Yes, done. So thank you everyone again to joining us for 5 days eFDP. And thank you, Sima ma'am, for giving us this enlightening session with AI tools and to learn to give us very meaningful knowledge how to use this ethically to write our research paper, to write grant, and also to use this for our daily purpose to prepare some presentation and pedagogy. So with this, I'd like to thank you, ma'am, for your
Thank
insightful
you. Thank
session.
you for
Thank
having
you.
me. Yeah, I look forward
Yes.
to seeing you all on some other session, some other time in person as well. So bye. Have a nice day.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
And the audience, now I like to ask our principal, sir, Dr. Bhavesh Akbari, to address that at the end of the all the participant. Just give me one second. Audience, now I'm going to share one second. So there are some technical glitch from the internet network connection from my principal, sir. So at the end, now I like to thanks all the audience to joining us for this 5 days EFDP on this AI tools. And I like to thank all the speakers who spared their time and to given us their insightful session. And also thanks our management, the provost sir, the registrar sir, and the entire fraternity of PP Savani University to give us this opportunity to arrange this FDP to all the faculty members throughout the nation. So with this, I like to thank again all the participants who has joined across India. So now I'm going to share um, the today's feedback as well as attendance in the chat box, and you need to fill this uh, feedback, and your certificate will be released by next Monday. So please, you need to wait another 2 to 3 days to getting your certificate. By next Monday, you can receive your certificate. If anybody want to share their feedback with their video and audio, you can turn on your video and you can please share. We'll be happy. Meanwhile, if someone want to give your feedback, please you can unmute and you can say something.
Sir, Professor Kokre here from Siyangadi Institute of Pharmacy, Pune.
Yes, sir. Please.
All 5 day sessions are very excellent, sir. Are very informative information of the AI tools, how it is utilized in the research paper writings, patent writings. All these sessions give clear informations for new researchers. That is how this new technology we can utilize for the writing the good papers, projects, as well as patents. Thank you very much for this arranging this FDP workshop for 5 days, and that is from 10 to 12. That time is very suitable for all to attend this FDP. Once again, thank you to all organizers, your university also, and hope in future that maybe offline such type of the FDP may be organized in your university. Thank you very much, sir.
Definitely, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your feedback. Definitely, we try to
Hello.
arrange. Yes, ma'am. Please.
Hello, sir. That one thing I want to share with you, the team, that is, it is most suitable topic which is we can face in a current time, and that is the best thing, that selection of the all topic, which can help us to crack any research paper and scholar articles. That is, thank you from our side. So to arranging this type of session. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, thank you, ma'am, for your nice feedback. So definitely we'll try to arrange this kind of FTP for all the participants in future also, because this is the era of AI. How we can behind, as we are not that much of technical savvy person, so we need to learn and we need to understand it. Yes.
Yes, sure.
Okay. Any other participant who like to share their views? Attendance is already floated in the chat box. Participant can please, you can fill your attendance as well as feedback.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, myself Meera Devi from Sri Dhanvantri Pharmacy College team.
Yes, please.
Sir, I attended all the sessions and all the sessions were very useful and informative, sir. Thank you for organizing this FDP and providing insights into the AI. As we are all not aware of all these tools, really I gained a lot of knowledge from your session, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you. There is one more suggestion. The list what Madam has told us, so you can definitely for more getting insights, you can definitely search in YouTube, because the YouTube is having most of the speakers, they have rightly given some information, all the tools, how to use it, the step by step uses, and how to use it in 100%. So definitely, if you want to learn, you can learn from YouTube also. The tools which are like I am using, like ChatGPT is there, Gemini is there, Purple is there, Space. So to learn more, definitely within 2 hours, it's not possible. So we can go to YouTube, you can search it, and you can understand how to use it for further level for us to writing paper and other purpose. Yes, anybody want to share something? So, dear audience, again, I'm saying that you please fill the attendance and feedback. And by next Monday, we are going to float your certificate in the email ID what you have shared.
Sir, excuse me, one more thing, sir. Kindly share further conducting conferences also in this group, sir. We will be thankful.
Yes, yes, yes. So please stay in the that group. If we are having any forthcoming FDP or other conferences, definitely we're going to share because it is very important to learn in this area. So definitely you can stay in the same group.
Oh,
We'll not going to delete this group. Stay
okay,
in the
sir.
group. We are going to inform. Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
अरे अटेंडेंस तो दे दो लिंक
Attendance is already floated in the chat box. If you can see in the chat box, it is available. And also the recording also we are going to share in YouTube. So maybe by tomorrow or day after tomorrow, you will get it all the recordings in a form of in School of Pharmacy YouTube channel we are having. We are going to share everything in the WhatsApp in the YouTube channel. So we're going to share the link very shortly. Yes, anybody want to share something? Okay, so with this, I'm going to close the session of 5-day EFDP national level. And so thank you one more time to everyone, every participant to spare your time and to learn something new and join us for last 5 days and learning the AI tools for your research writing, publication and patent. So with this, signing off, Samresh Palrai. Bye bye, Tata.